Well, good evening, everyone. It is 6 p.m. I'll call this meeting to order. This is the regular session for Schertz Planning and Zoning Commission of June 5th, 2024. Item number 1 was a call to order. Item number 2 is seat alternate to act if required. We have both our alternates, Ms. Craig and Mr. Wallace, with us this evening. Item number 3 is a hearing of residents. This time is set aside for any person who wishes to address the Planning and Zoning Commission. Each person should fill out the speaker's register prior to the meeting. Presentation should be limited to more than 3 minutes. Discussion by the commission of any item not on the agenda shall be limited to statements of specific factual information given in response to any inquiry, a recitation of existing policy in response to other inquiry, and/or a proposal to place the item on a future agenda. In other words, we can't really get in a two-way. The presiding officer during the hearing of residents portion of the agenda will call on those persons who have signed up to speak in the order they have registered. Mary Sanborn?
It's Mary Sanborn at 4462 Brush Creek Drive. So the reason I'm here tonight is because I was here last night for the council meeting in regard to the public hearing for ordinance 24-S-26 for a specific use permit for a mixed-use self-storage. My issue with that is it seems, and I'm not sure, I've not been to one of these, your commissioners, and thank you for allowing me to speak, but the planning and zoning. So with that particular project was for an area that's already zoned GB. Understand they have the option to put that strip, they have a strip retail that they're proposing. But what I thought was wrong, and it undermines my confidence in both the councilman and this planning and zoning, is the presentation of this particular request was just for that mixed use self-storage without really outlining the whole picture, which wasn't outlined until last night. And obviously you all supported it because it had to go through you first. Is that correct? You support it and then you give it to the council members to vote on. Well, I felt that your UDC section 21.5.11D, where you were supposed to take zoning and making its recommendation, the final action on specific use permit should consider the following criteria. The documentation that was provided said there was no impact. We already know there's an impact of 3009. I live in the Forest Ridge subdivision that will be across from that. We already have some neighborhood services already identified in front of our neighborhood. Now with that additional on the other side, there's been no mitigation for the traffic and the planning and the process of that, and we are detrimentally affected. Where you did not take in any of these considerations for the compatibility to preserve. You not only allowed additional green space to be removed, you have now more impermeable surfaces for more runoff. They supposedly said that they're like a stormwater management is going to be under the building. I'm just begging you, I don't understand how you all could have supported such a specific use permit. You didn't meet the criteria of preserving the character and integrity of adjacent developments and neighborhoods, mitigating development-related adverse impacts such as traffic, safety, noise, odors, drainage. Can you answer to why you didn't take into consideration your own UDC when making that recommendation to the council to approve? All right, can you answer that?
No, I read you the rules for this, okay? You talk, and when you're done, okay, it's not a two-way conversation at this point.
So I just said yes or no, was hopefully. But, and it seemed like yesterday it was also a very interesting and worrisome, again, for the trust of the confidence of the public to y'all's abilities and actions. Several people stood up and spoke that the proposed developers were pressuring individuals, making statements that they had you all in their pocket, commissioners and or council members, So I'm not sure where that comes from. I know you roll your eyes and you make those statements, but I've had that deal with before here in this city of Schertz. Been here 20 years. There has been pressure, there's been support that not necessarily was the benefit of the public, but was more of a benefit, I don't know to whom and why and how, but this is a concern. I mean, I don't know about you, but the traffic on 3009 and the mitigation and going ahead and utilizing, not really following your own UDCs. So I just beg to understand how you move forward with the additional planning, especially with today's meeting, have an additional on the agenda for storage units. How many storage units do we need in the city of Schertz when we haven't had them for 20 years? So I guess that's all I need to say, because it doesn't seem like I'm going to get anywhere. It just seems like you all make decisions without really taking in concerns. And I find that worrisome from a resident, and plan to be a continued resident of Schertz, even if it seems to be transitory. It doesn't make sense to me. So whatever you can shed light, or moving forward with your recommendations to the council, take more consideration of your own UDC. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And, you know, you're entitled to your opinion. Hang on, sir, put your hand down, okay? I don't necessarily agree with your opinion. You're entitled to it. As far as not getting anywhere, you're right, because this issue is gone. No, now it's my turn to talk, okay? You're absolutely right. The system is, it comes to us, we make a recommendation. Once it leaves here and goes to city council, we can't call it back. You know, even if you stood there and convinced all of us that we were wrong, we can't change it. Now, we can certainly take your comments to heart on future issues, and, you know, we'll give that some consideration, okay? Now, sir, you raised your hand. What for?
Being an old senior citizen that's never spoken before, could I get on the list to speak?
Yes. Come on up. Just give me your, no, that's all right. You can just come on up, give us your name and address for the record, and Tiffany will catch it over here.
I feel like I'm butting in.
That's fine.
Okay, my name is Charles Lovett, and the properties we own are on the south side of FM 1518. The one that is principally insured is 2305 FM 1518. And my wife and I have filled in all of these. Should I be passing these into somebody?
Yeah, just hand them up here and we'll.
All right.
This is.
Those are for all the 4 proproperties that we own. We thought we had to sign one for each one, so we did sign one for each one.
All right, go ahead. No, I was leave that there for the ladies there. So 3 minutes. Go ahead.
My wife and I are very concerned here. We spent well over $250,000 fixing up that property, commissioners, on the at the 2305. I don't know if you remember it. It was a very faded old yellow. It kind of looked like a mobile home. It wasn't. It was built by a developer back in the late 60s, in 1969. But in any case, my wife bought it over as she has the beautiful Stonehouse Salon on FM 1518, and we have bought other properties and tried to clean them up and rehab them as much as we can. But the biggest effort that we'd ever put in was at that 2305, and we've turned it into a very successful Airbnb. Now, you wouldn't think that a lot of people want to come to beautiful Schertz for a vacation, but they're doing fabulously well. It's the most successful rental property we've ever put together. But we did spend an absolute fortune. It's the first property my wife ever decorated. She did a fabulous job, and I'd be glad to tour you all through it someday. But the bottom line is the proposal that you put a gas station and a convenience store directly across the street is of great concern to us. The front window goes into the master bedroom. The front window on this property goes into the master bedroom, and the lights that were on 24 hours a day on a gas station, I think would be totally ruinous to our business, to the success of our Airbnb. It's on a nice 2-acre lot that's quiet and fixed up and is doing very, very well for us. The other issue that I'd ask you to consider is just up the street. Now, yes, it's not in Schertz, and maybe you don't have any concern for that, but there's a gentleman up the street that spent over $2 million building the nicest select stop 8-pump gas station, Valero gas station, not a out of the country gas company, or not something from out of San Antonio, but a Valero pump gas station, and a fabulous, if you've ever been in that little stop and go or select stop, you know that it is one of the tidiest and cleanest, with a walk-in refrigerated section for beer and for wine and everything else. It's just a tremendous, he put a fabulous investment into 1518, and which is serving all the community. I mean, yes, there are convenience stores yes, there are convenience stores downtown, but this is the nicest one, and I kind of think it would be not only a shame to my business, but a shame to his business as well.
Okay, let me,
We're asking you that you recommend absolutely no and deny any application or
okay, what I was going to say is that the issue you're addressing is a public hearing. So when that hearing comes back up, you'll have another opportunity. If you didn't quite get, okay? In other words, you'll have another chance to speak tonight if you have anything that you want to, that you didn't say, okay? So you're talking about the issue.
I can continue or I can't continue?
Not right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but when it comes up on the agenda, that will be an open, once again, it's a public hearing, people will have a chance to speak.
Well, thank
okay?
you for allowing me to speak. I appreciate it, Commissioners,
Okay.
a lot.
Well,
Thank you.
I assumed if I'd known it was about what's on the public hearing, I would have told you to wait, but.
Told you to sit down and shut up.
But no.
You
no.
can still tell me that. Thank you very much
So
for
for
listening.
now, anyway, okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? No, okay? What? Yeah, okay. All righty. Item number 4 is our consent agenda. We have 2 items on that agenda tonight. Item 4A is the minutes for the May 8th, 2024 regular meeting, and item 4B is the minutes for the May 15th, 2024 special meeting. There's no discussion on consent agenda, so commissioners, do we need to pull either or both of those items for discussion? If not, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make some motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, having trouble hearing you tonight, Patrick, but. All right, I have a motion to approve the consent agenda from Commissioner McMasters.
Second.
I think Mr. Wallace beat you to it, right? They're being quiet down there tonight. I don't know what the.
I can't hear you.
All right, there's no discussion, so please record your votes. All right, I have 7 votes recorded. Would you publish that vote, please? We have 7 ayes, none opposed. That motion passes. Item number 5 is public hearings. The Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing related to zone change requests, specific use permit requests, and Unified Development Code amendments with this on the agenda. The public hearing will be open to receive a report from staff, the applicant, the adjoining property owners affected by the applicant's request, and any other interested persons. Upon completion, the public hearing will be closed. The commission will discuss and consider the application and may request additional information from staff or the applicant if required. After deliberation, the commission is asked to consider and act upon the following requests and make a recommendation to the City Council if necessary. We'll start with item 5A, PLZC 2024-0095. Hold a public hearing and make a recommendation on a request to rezone approximately 1 acre of land from pre-development to single-family residential agricultural district, known as Bear County Property Identification Number 308497, more specifically known as 11639 Voges Pass, City of Schertz, Bexar County, Texas.
Good evening, PLZC 2024-0095, zone change from pre-development district to single-family residential agricultural district on approximately 1 acre. Daisy Marquez, planner. Here is the subject property outlined in green. It is approximately 1 acre. It is bare property identification number 308497, also known as 11639 Voges Pass. It is currently undeveloped. The existing zoning designation that it has is pre-development district to the north. It is also designated as pre-development district. To the south is the City of Schertz ETJ. To the east is pre-development district, and to the west, as you may recognize, was recently approved as single-family residential agricultural district RA. On May 20th, we sent out a total of 7 public hearing notices to everyone within that 200-foot buffer. We received 0 responses. 1 sign was posted on the property by the applicant, and it is tentatively scheduled for the July 2nd City Council meeting for the first hearing. UDC Section 2154 states that a zone change is required to establish the use of land and the development associated with the proposed zoning classification for the purpose of establishing and maintaining sound, stable, and desirable development. Again, this proposed zone change is for approximately 1 acre of land to single-family residential agricultural district. And again, when we look at zone changes, we look at UDC Section 2154D for the criteria of approval. So 1, whether the proposed zone change or zoning map amendment implements the policies of the adopted comprehensive land plan, including the land use classification of the property on the future land use map. So yes, the proposed single-family residential agricultural district RA does implement the policies of the comp plan. The subject property is designated as complete neighborhood in the comp plan, future land use map, and the complete neighborhood land use designation is identified as a mixture of housing options and supporting land uses. But additionally, the comprehensive land use plan stipulates that when considering appropriateness of housing density, factors such as roadway classification and conflicts among land uses and buildings should be considered. The subject property is currently undeveloped, unplatted, and has access from a private road and is surrounded by existing agricultural uses and agricultural homes. So due to this location of the subject property, the current zoning designations of surrounding properties and access, the proposed single-family residential agricultural district at the subject property does implement the policies of the comprehensive land use plan and the complete neighborhood land use designation of the future land use map. 2, whether the proposed zoning change or zoning map amendment promotes the health, safety, or general welfare of the city, safe, orderly, efficient, and healthful development of the city. And as part of promoting health, safety, and welfare, the city should encourage development compatible with surrounding uses, utilizing standards and transitional uses to alleviate negative impacts. The proposed single-family residential agricultural district dimensional and development standards as stated in UDC Section 2157A and listed here in this table of the UDC are compatible with what is immediately in the surrounding area. 3, whether the uses permitted by the proposed change in zoning district classification and the standards applicable to such uses will be appropriate in the immediate area of the land to be reclassified. Yes, the uses permitted in single-family residential agricultural district are appropriate within the immediate area of the land to be reclassified. The purpose and intent of the single-family residential agricultural district is to provide areas in which agricultural land may be held in such use for as long as practical and reasonable, with residences a minimum of ½ acre in size and where development is premature due to lack of utilities, capacity, or services as per UDC Section 2155. A majority of the surrounding properties are zoned pre-development district and are used for single-family residential with agricultural. 4, whether the proposed change is in accord with any existing or proposed plans for providing public schools, streets, water supply, sanitary sewerage, or other public services and utilities to the area. So there's no existing development on the subject property, and the applicant does not have any plans for development at this time. A public hearing notice was mailed to the Schertz Universal City Independent School District to notify them of the proposed zone change. And again, attachments are included to this in the staff report of the most recent demographic report for SCUC ISD, as well as the most recent 10-year campus forecasting presentation. 5, whether there have been any environmental and/or economical changes which warrant the requested change. No, there have been no environmental or economical changes that warrant the requested zone change. The subject property has been designated as pre-development district and was given this designation like many other properties in this area in southern Schertz after its annexation. 6, where there is an error in the original zoning of the property for which the change is requested. No, there was no error in the original zoning of the property. Like I said, the pre-development district zoning designation is intended as a placeholder as per UDC section 2155A, and whether all of the applicant's back taxes owed to the city have been paid in full. This does not impact the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation to City Council. 8, whether other criteria are met, which at the discretion of the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council are deemed relevant and important in consideration of the amendment. So staff has ensured all UDC requirements have been met for the proposed zone change, and at this time have not received any special considerations from the Planning and Zoning Commission or City Council. So staff recommends that the proposed zone change to single-family residential agricultural district is compatible with the comprehensive land use map, comprehensive land use plan, future land use map, and is appropriate within the immediate area of the subject property. So staff recommends approval of PLZC 2024-0095. Comments or questions? And then the property owner, Ms. Johnson, is here, but she doesn't have anything prepared.
Okay.
She's just here to listen.
All right, thank you. This is on the agenda as a public hearing. It is 6:20, and I will open this meeting for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the council or the commission on this particular topic is welcome to step up to the dais. Please give your name and address for the record. You want to do it again?
Regards to my property that I'm talking
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm getting ahead now. Okay, yeah. Nobody?
Thank you for asking.
Nobody. All right, 8:20 or 6:21, and the public input is closed. Commissioners, comments, questions, discussion? Nobody? All right, this is a, I have one question. A couple of meetings ago, we rezoned something right in here. Was that the one across the street or?
It's the one right next to it.
Oh, okay.
So they're neighbors. Yes, Ms. Johnson was actually here for that P&Z meeting as well.
Okay, all right. And this was requested by the owner?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, commissioners, if we have no discussion, this is a recommendation to City Council. We can recommend approval, we can recommend denial, we can recommend approval with conditions. Someone like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. We recommend approval of PLZC 2024-0095.
Second.
Where'd the second come from? Judy? Okay. All right, I have a motion and a second to recommend approval to City Council. Any further discussion? Please record your votes. Oh, hang on a second. I didn't erase them from the last time. All right, go ahead. All right, I have 7 votes. Can you publish that vote, please? We have 7 ayes, none opposed. That motion passes. All right. Going to do so I don't forget that again. All right. 5B, PLZC 2024-0098. Hold a public hearing and make a recommendation on a request to rezone approximately 3.6 acres of land from pre-development district to single-family residential / agricultural district, known as Comal County Property Identification Number 78940, more specifically known as 6691 FM 482, New Braunfels, Comal County, Texas.
Good evening, Commissioners. PLZC 2024-0098, a zone change request from pre-development district to single-family residential agricultural district on approximately 3.6 acres. Daisy Marquez, planner. Here's the subject property outlined in green. It is again approximately 3.6 acres, Kamel PID 78940, also known as 6691 FM 482. It is currently a residence, and the existing zoning is pre-development. So again, it has that pre-development district designation. To the north, we have FM 482. To the south, we have the railroad tracks, and then here to the left we have Friesenhahn Lane, and then to the right we have more properties that have that pre-development district zoning designation. And then up here in this corner, this school is the John Paul II Catholic High School. So on May 20th, we sent out a total of 9 public hearing notices. As of 5/31, we have received 1 in favor from one of the neighbors, and 1 sign was posted on the property by the applicant. And again, this one is also tentatively scheduled for the July 2nd City Council meeting. So when it comes to zone changes, UDC Section 2154 states that a zone change is required to establish the use of land and the development associated with the proposed zoning classification for the purpose of establishing and maintaining sound, stable, and desirable development. The proposed zone changes for approximately 3.6 acres of land to single-family residential agricultural district. Again, we look at UDC Section 2154D for the criteria for approval. 1, whether the proposed zone change or zoning map amendment implements the policies of the adopted comprehensive land plan, including the land use classification of the property on the future land use map. So the subject property is designated as local corridor in the comp plan, and local corridors described as areas with locally oriented commercial and entertainment areas compatible with a mix of residential, with a development ratio of 20% residential and 80% non-residential development. And although single-family residential agricultural district does not allow for commercial entertainment uses, the subject property immediate area consists of agricultural uses and rural residences. So this property is currently a residence and no development is being proposed, and the immediate area consists of agricultural uses. Thus, the single-family residential agricultural district being requested is appropriate in this area, as there is still a lack of development that meets that local corridor land use designation. And additionally, the comp plan stipulates that a percentage of residential areas could still exist in the local corridor land use designation. And in the future, if there is a proposed zone change to a more intense zoning district, the zoning district will be evaluated based on its implementation of the policies of the adopted comprehensive land use plan and future land use map. 2, whether the proposed zoning change or zoning map amendment promotes the health, safety, or general welfare of the city and safe, orderly, efficient, and helpful development of the city. So as part of promoting health, safety, and welfare, the city should encourage development compatible with surrounding uses, utilizing standards and transitional uses to alleviate negative impacts. The dimensional requirements for single-family residential agricultural district, as listed in Table 2157A of the UDC, and also seen here in this table, are compatible within the immediate area of the subject property. The subject property is approximately 3.6 acres and surpasses the minimum square footage required in single-family residential agricultural district. And the existing pre-development zoning as per UDC Section 2155 was only intended as a temporary designation for existing uses for newly annexed properties, but no improvements, construction, or structures may be undertaken without obtaining a building permit. A building permit cannot be pulled without proper zoning, and the proposed zone change to the single-family residential agricultural district would allow the applicant to pull building permits to ensure safe and orderly development. 3, whether the uses permitted by the proposed change in zoning district classification and the standards applicable to such uses will be appropriate in the immediate area of the land to be reclassified. Again, yes, the uses permitted in single-family residential agricultural district are appropriate in the immediate area of the land to be reclassified. The purpose and intent of single-family residential agricultural district is to provide areas in which agricultural land may be held in such use for as long as practical and reasonable, with minimum half-acre lots, and where development may still be premature due to lack of utilities, capacity, or services as per UDC Section 2155. 4, whether the proposed change is in accord with any existing or proposed plans for providing public schools, streets, water supply, sanitary sewers, or other public services and utilities to the area. The subject property utilizes an on-site septic system and is in the Green Valley CCM for water. FM 482 up here to the north of our property is a TxDOT road that is only 2 lanes with 1 lane in each direction. And per the master thoroughfare plan, FM 482 is actually identified as a principal arterial with a planned 120 to 130 feet of right-of-way width. And in the master thoroughfare plan, Friesenhahn Lane here to the left of the property is identified as a commercial collector A with the proposed final 70 feet of right-of-way width. Although no development is being proposed at this time, any proposed improvements or access points will need to be reviewed by TxDOT and the City of Schertz Engineering Department. And again, a public hearing notice was mailed to Comal Independent School District to notify them of the proposed zone change. 5, whether there have been any environmental and/or economical changes which warrant the requested change. No, there were no environmental or economic changes that warranted the requested zone change. The subject property was annexed into the City of Schertz in 2010 with Ordinance 10A19, and the subject property currently has that pre-development district zoning designation, which is meant to be a temporary designation for properties annexed into the City of Schertz as per UDC Section 2155A. Whether there is an error in the original zoning of the property for which a change is requested. No, there was no error in the original zoning of the property. And whether all of the applicant's back taxes owed to the city have been paid in full. And again, this does not impact the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation to City Council. 8, whether other criteria are met which at the discretion of the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council are deemed relevant and important in consideration of the amendment. Staff has ensured all UDC requirements have been met for the proposed zone change and at this time have not received any special consideration from the Planning and Zoning Commission or City Council. So when it comes to the staff recommendation, the proposed zone change to single-family residential agriculture district is appropriate within the immediate area. Thus, staff recommends approval of PLZC 2024-0098. And again, this is Mr. Saunders' property. He is the property owner, and he is requesting the zone change himself.
All right, thank you. It's another public hearing. It is 6:31. Anyone wish to address the commission on this particular topic? Welcome to step forward. Nobody? All right, it is still 6:31. Public input is closed. Commissioners? All right, once again, this is a recommendation to City Council. We have the same 3 options: approve, deny, approve with conditions. If there's no discussion, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of PLZC 202-40098.
I'll second that motion.
All right, I have a motion to recommend approval from Commissioner Craig and a second from Commissioner McMaster. Any further discussion, questions? No, please record your vote. All right, I have 7 votes. If you'd publish that, please. I have 7 ayes, none opposed. That motion passes. All right, item 5C, PLSPU 2024-0012. Hold a public hearing to make a recommendation on a request for a specific use permit to allow a convenience store with gas pumps on approximately 4.33 acres of land located at the intersection of Maskey Road and East FM 1518, more specifically known as Guadalupe County Property ID number 64548, City of Schertz, Guadalupe County, Texas. Sam.
Evening, Commissioners. PLSPU 2024-0012, FM 1518, Maskey Road Specific Use Permit, Samuel Haas, Senior Planner. Outlined in green here is a subject property. Is approximately 4.33 acres. It's currently undeveloped and in a zone general business district. Get your bearings here, Maskey Road is right here to the north, and this is FM 1518 running south and west here. As mentioned before, the property is currently zoned general business. To the north is Maskey Road. To the west is FM 1518. To the south and to the east are both general business, and those are both undeveloped. On May 24th, 2024, a total of 8 public hearing notices were sent out. We just received 1 in opposition, and we also received 2 that were in favor, and 1 sign was also posted on the property. Per the applicant letter of intent, the proposed development will consist of a 14 pump gas station with 5,500 square foot convenience store, a roughly 6,300 square foot restaurant with a drive-through, and a 15,600 square foot retail building. And as per UDC section 2158, a specific use permit is required for that convenience store with gas pump portion in the general business district. So this was a conceptual plan that was submitted by the applicant. I will remind the commission that we are not here to talk about fire lanes or landscape buffers or drainage or any of that. We are here to just decide whether or not a specific use permit for a convenience store with gas station with gas pumps is appropriate here. So, UDC section 21511D is the criteria for approval for these specific use permits. I'll just go through these one at a time. Number one is a proposed use consistent with the policies embodied in the adopted comprehensive land plan. The comprehensive plan designates this area as industrial hub. While industrial hub is intended to be a center of manufacturing logistic activity, complementary commercial services, especially in the buffer areas, are appropriate, especially as transitional uses. For this reason, this specific use permit is in conformance with the comprehensive land plan. Number two, the proposed use is consistent with the intent of the applicable zoning district. General business district is intended to provide suitable areas for the development of non-residential uses, which offer a wide variety of retail and service establishments that are generally oriented towards serving the overall needs of the entire community. This convenience store would meet the intent, the convenience store with gas pumps, would meet the intent of the zoning district. Number three, the proposed use is compatible with and preserves the character and integrity of adjacent developments and neighborhoods, and includes improvements either on site or within the public right of way to mitigate development related adverse impacts. So the adjacent to this property, there just to the south is a business park style commercial development. There's also in the wider area, there's a lot of primarily higher intensity and some light industrial activity over there in that area. The property also abuts FM 1518, which is a secondary arterial on our master thoroughfare plan. So given this, the proposed land use is compatible with surrounding area. And in order to mitigate that development-related adverse impact, which kind of answers the question from earlier, during the site development process, we have Article 9 to ensure that those adverse impacts are mitigated. Number four, the proposed use does not generate pedestrian or vehicular traffic that will be hazardous or conflict with existing and anticipated traffic. The proposed development will have 2 points of access, one on Maskey and one on FM 1518. This will help minimize hazardous effective traffic, and engineering will also do a more detailed traffic impact analysis at the time of the site plan process. Number five, the proposed use incorporates roadway adjustments and traffic control devices that may be needed to reduce or eliminate development-generated traffic on neighborhood streets. Again, this will be addressed during the site development process, and engineering will review a more detailed traffic impact analysis and will determine whether and what kind of mitigation methods will be required. Number six, the proposed use incorporates features to minimize adverse effects, including visual impacts of the proposed use on adjacent properties. Sound like a broken record here, but again, during the site development process, Article 9 is in place in the UDC to ensure that those adverse impacts are mitigated. Number seven, the proposed use meets the standards of the zoning district, and or to the extent variations from such standards have been requested. The proposed development will meet all dimensional and design requirements of the general business zoning district. There have been no variations to the requirements that have been requested. Number eight, the proposed use promotes health, safety, and general welfare of the city and the safe, orderly, and efficient and healthful development of the city. So as part of promoting health, safety, and welfare, the city should encourage development compatible with surrounding uses, utilizing standards and traditional uses to alleviate negative impacts. Given the surrounding area, the general business zoning in the immediate area, and also the wider commercial activity, this development is compatible with those surrounding land uses. Number 9, no application made under these provisions will receive final approval until all back taxes are owed to the city. This does not affect the impact of the Planning and Zoning's recommendation to City Council at this time. And number 10, other criteria at the discretion of the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council that are deemed relevant and important in the consideration of this specific use permit. Staff has ensured that all UDC requirements have been met at this time. We have also not received any special consideration from the Planning and Zoning Commission or City Council. It should be noted that Joint Base San Antonio Randolph has reviewed this proposal and submitted a letter of no objection. And a specific use permit was actually approved at this very same property as Ordinance 18S34 on October 23rd, 2018. That has since expired. This is important to note as this proposal is similar to what was previously already approved. Staff recommends approval of PLSPU 2024-0012 to allow a convenience store with gas pumps at the subject property conditioned upon the following. A building permit is approved within 2 years of the adoption of the SUP ordinance.
All right, thank you, Sam. Does the applicant here have a presentation, or?
I am.
All right, sure, come on up. Need your name and address for the record, and
All right.
the floor is yours.
Hey, good evening, commissioners. My name is Amir Namak Farouche. I reside at 1102 Links Cove. I am the applicant as part of Southtown Engineering and Consulting. I'm also a professional licensed engineer who will be the engineer of record for this plan. We have done extensive planning with the city as well as JBSA Randolph for the past 6 months, coordinating this updated plan. As Samuel mentioned earlier, this was already approved by the Planning Commission in August 2018, and then it was approved by City Council in September of 2018. So 6 years has passed that this plan has been in place. It's been updated and modified to meet the community needs in the surrounding areas based on market studies for this area. So we believe it's a great fit. We're excited about the project. We've been happy that staff has been open to it, and we've spent a lot of time and money in this specific tract, and we hope that you would look at it favorably. But I'm here to answer any questions with regards to engineering, lighting, drainage, traffic, all those things I'm happy to address.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, it is, I'll stall here for a few seconds and let the clock roll over. It is 6:42. And at this time, the commission will accept public input. If you'd like to address the commission, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Try to limit your comments to 3 minutes. Well, that's all right. Come on up.
Can I ask a question of the people who just made the presentation?
No, sir. What you can do is ask the question.
Okay.
Okay, and
Hi,
somebody.
I'm Charles Lovett. Again, my property is at 2305 FM 1518. We additionally own 3 properties going west of that, 2500, 2521, and 2600 on FM 1518. My wife is a famous hairstylist and just got awarded, I'm bragging now, the #1 hair colorist in the state of Texas. Okay, that being said, can I ask please the question about...
No, sir.
Could you-
Address the commission,
Can I
ask the question.
Sorry,
okay?
Commissioner Outlaw.
And then we'll get you an answer, okay?
Can we find out what kind of greenery or green belt will exist on the Maskey Road and hard corner of FM 1518? Because that would make a big difference. I think it would be a desperate put down to my Airbnb, where my wife and I have invested most of our retirement into this Airbnb, to have it ruined by bright lights that are coming from the a gas station that would have pumps available 24/7. Again, I'm sure other people don't want to hear about it, but there is a fabulous gas station just 15 blocks up the street with 8 pumps. Nonetheless, it seems like that is a kind of a rude put down for their $2 million plus investment that they put into that Valero and Select Stop. But I would be very interested in knowing, or if the commissioners can find out for me, what is the green belt that would be surrounding it, because this is it's one of the very nicest Airbnbs in all of Schertz. We're the only 5-star recommended one for 2 years because of having a pool and 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms and all that kind of good stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's a big concern. So if there are variances and ordinances that are having to be changed, it is certainly my request that they not be, but I would love to hear the answer to the green belt or the greenery that might separate this development or gas station from Maskey Road and FM 1518 primarily.
All right, thank you. And yes, I think we can address that. All right, anybody else? Nobody? Last chance. All right, it is, well, let me flip my paper over here. It is 6:45 and public input is closed. Sam, before you get started, could you put the conceptual site plan back up there, please? I think that'll help some of us. All right, commissioners, questions, comments? Mr. Wallace?
Yeah, so as part of this specific use permit, beyond the condition that it gets approved, are there any additional conditions that we can recommend to council?
Yes, you can.
Okay. It's hard because I mean, it is a compatible use for the area and then where, you know, the long-term land use plan has this going, but I do understand the compatibility with existing businesses. Would the applicant be open to providing additional landscaping along Maskey?
Well, before we go into that, I'll just say that in the UDC currently, you're required a 20-foot landscape buffer along public right-of-ways. You are required to have 1 tree per 20 linear foot in that landscape buffer. Additionally, there's going to be interior landscaping requirements within this development.
Yeah.
If they're intending to do all of this, again, we're only talking about is a gas station appropriate here? That's what we're talking about. But just for the sake of conversation, if they're intending to do all this, there will be interior parking lot trees that they'll be required to have.
Okay.
And then also there will be 9 trees per acre that they're required to plant as well. So there's 4.33 acres here. So, you know, that's going to be 30, 9, almost 40 trees that they're going to have to plant there. So, and while there are some requirements in our landscaping that says you have to have them at the end of parking rows, you have to have them every 1 per 20 parking spaces, it is the applicant's decision to place those trees where they see fit, right? So if screening is an issue, then the applicant absolutely can place the majority of those 40 trees, as many as they can anyway, along the public right-of-way. So I don't know if it's...
But could that be a condition? I think it's a little vague to be a condition, but could it be a condition hypothetically?
I would have to, hypothetically, I believe. I mean, there are some provisions in the UDC that allow you to make some requests.
Yeah, let me interrupt here before we go too far down this path. Yes, one of the options we have in our recommendation to City Council is conditions. But what Sam is telling you here is that the UDC already, and in fact, maybe if we could, what I was hoping, Sam, is you could use their conceptual plan and maybe illustrate how that landscape stuff applies. And just to give us and the property owner across the street an idea of what, again, realizing this is conceptual, but it might be a useful illustrative tool if you could do that.
Sure. I mean, if you can follow my mouse here. I mean, so this is 1518, so they'll be required to have a landscape buffer all right here. And within that landscape buffer, they're required to also have 1 tree per linear foot, right? Now, in these little parking rows here, they're gonna be required to have trees. That'll help break a lot of the lighting that is coming from the business. And then, again, you know, this looks like a detention pond. So there'll probably be trees here, but not a whole lot here. But again, they're required to have 9 trees per acre. So if they want to stack these trees up here, they can. Essentially, you know, we have provisions in our UDC that try already to sort of make business and residential uses kind of, you know, more compatible and stuff like that.
So that landscape buffer also applies to Maskey Road, correct?
Yes, yeah,
So-
and then the landscape buffer will be here too. So there will be trees already here and here. So again, I don't think it's necessary to condition anything because it's already essentially going to be there.
Would any of that buffer be eligible for mitigation? Or is that a hard, it's required?
Like tree mitigation?
Yeah, just any kind of, like, did they say we can't do it because of a hardship or anything like that? They couldn't, like, the landscape buffer would be required, not necessarily regardless, but.
Yeah, it's required.
Okay.
And this property is just a big field right now, so I can't see how this would, yeah.
I've got some.
Yeah.
Dan?
The only thing that we're concerned with is the gas pumps. That's what they need this.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, if he wanted to build this today without the fuel pumps,
He could.
we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The city has a whole volume of ordinances that govern landscaping and a whole volume of ordinances that deal with lighting. And anybody is welcome to research those and see what we control as far as lighting goes and overflow and things like that. What I would ask the applicant is to be sensitive to, again, JBSA Randolph. I understand that they had no objections to this, but be careful with the lighting, be sensitive, because that's final approach for runway 15 left. And Randolph will start doing night flying in the future when they get their new airplanes. They'll be doing night flying. So it would be nice to have, not to have intense lighting in that location if we can get away with it. Not a requirement, but please be sensitive to it. That's all I would ask. And we approved this in 2018. I have no reason why not to approve it again.
I want to know what the city means by promoting the health. Like, what do you mean by health?
So it's consistent with the language in the local government code. Basically, all cities are required by state mandate, if you're a home rule city, to promote the health, welfare, health, development, and general welfare of the city, right? So, it's like an overarching theme in our development codes that we want to provide ample space and lighting and and greenery and things like that. So that's just kind of a general sort of alignment with state law.
As it pertains to gas pumps, is what I'm asking.
Right, but we can't, if you're asking me, are we supposed to do some sort of, environmental review or something? Is that what you're asking, or?
Just asking what you mean, if you can go into detail. I'm challenging you.
Yeah, I understand. So I'll just say that as we do not see this as an adverse health impact on the city.
My turn. Okay, we're all turned around here, north, south, east, west. Your diagram there is basically north is up. Now check the arrow up in the corner. Okay, so for my north is up, south. You haven't said anything about the properties on the other side of 1518. You talk about it being consistent, and it certainly is, with what's going on Maskey and Windy Meadows. It fits right in, but what about the other side?
The soccer fields and
No. The ones along the creek.
oh, I got you. So what's along the creek is zone general business 2. And that is a more generally heavier industrial use. That was zoned that way long before me.
Right,
So
okay.
it's right now it's being used as a short-term rental, or one of the properties is, we know that for sure.
So what we have right now on are basically non-conforming uses on those properties. Am I correct? So,
Yes.
So the Airbnb that we're talking about here is basically
A residence that's being,
an existing non-conforming use, and they can keep doing that
correct.
as long as they want. Okay. But, and you know, I've been here a long time, and, but not on P and Z, and so how that was zoned GB2 and not something else, and not residential, maybe there's some concerns with flooding. I don't really know why it's zoned the way it is.
It is all in the floodway, so.
Okay. Can you go back to your conceptual site plan? And I'm sorry, I just need something to look at, okay? Something to keep in mind, because I'm not, you know, again, this is conceptual, but I don't see any cross-lot access here. I don't see any access to the north or to the, so is that something you folks will address?
I guarantee you it'd be a first-round comment from the city.
Okay, all right. And this is quite a bit different than what you brought to us in 2018. You know, I'm looking at it, and I'm trying to keep the neighbors across the street, I'm trying to keep their concerns in mind. And again, you know, if this whole thing, if the pumps were, you know, if the gas station was at the back and the retail was at the front, you know, there wouldn't be so much concern, I think, with the whole lighting thing. But the realities are this is the way it needs to be. And my comment about it being so much different, well, the gas station itself is pretty much where it was. So basically, we've just expanded a little bit, I think, and added another building to what I, at least from what I remember. But again, I'm sorry, the old fire marshal just won't go away. Now, our lighting, something, and this is for your benefit, sir, and I'm sorry I've forgotten your name. Our lighting standards, can you mention those real quick? Just in other words, our development standards as far as lighting requires how much of that lighting to stay on the property? And
Yeah, I believe that our lighting standards, they have to be pointed down. It's all in conformance with JVSA.
yeah, I think the real problem is the fuel canopy, because that's where, you know, that sucker is 14 or 15 feet off the ground, and they're all lights that are pointed, and yeah. It's a lumens restriction, yeah. The other thing, and I don't suppose you came equipped with a permitted use table for general business, right? Because, oh, there we go. Because what I'd like you to show is, now, I'm gonna be a bit of a, and you know how I can be sometimes, but you know, your comment about it, and I don't remember, it was a comment back as you were going through that list of things, and you talked about it being in conformance with, well, it really isn't, because the property is owned general business, and if a convenience store with gas pumps was, in my mind, if it was automatically in conformance with general business, it would be allowed without an SUP. It's not, okay? In order for him to put this there, he needs a special use permit. But I was thinking if you have some way, can you get that, all I'm trying to do here is address citizens' concerns here. And part of, so right now this property is zoned general business. And what I'm hoping Sam can show you is a list of what could be built there today without having to ask. All I have to do is pull building permits. They don't need anybody's permission to do it, okay?
So, sorry, this is, I could pull it up.
No,
already
I
have it
think
here, but
that's okay.
Alcohol package sale, so alcohol package sales, an airport with a specific use permit.
Yeah.
Here's GB,
Well, let's
an
see, let's
antique
just-
shop, appliances, art gallery, assisted care, automobile parking structure or garage, automobile part sales, automobile service minor, bakery, bank, beauty salon, bed and breakfast, bookstore. Let's see, we have building material and hardware sales, car wash, church, civic convention center, commercial amusement indoor, community center. Would you like me to keep going?
No, I think maybe if you just flip through them and leave, you don't have to read every one of them.
Okay.
But because I just wanted an idea of excuse me, what could be built there without anybody's permission. And maybe you notice that bed and breakfast is allowed in general business. Anyway, no, thank you, Sam. That's all. I was just trying to. Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Richard.
That large vacant piece of property to the west of this piece of property across from Maskey, that's in Universal City. And Lord knows what they're going to put on that piece of property. We have no control over that. So Universal City can do whatever they want with that. We don't control their zoning. We don't control their construction. We don't control anything. So that's just another thing you can worry about.
Okay, anybody have anything else? Questions, comments? All right, if not, once again, this is a recommendation to City Council. And that recommendation can be approval, denial, or approval with conditions. Now, there is already a condition attached to this issue, and that is that the building permit
Must be issued.
issued within 2 years, so we don't need to add that. That's already part of this, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd make a motion to approve the specific use permit as presented.
Second.
I have a motion to recommend approval from Commissioner Wallace, a second from Commissioner McMaster. Any further discussion or comments? Record your vote, please. All right, I have 7 votes. Will you publish that, please? Is it up there, Sam? Okay, because it's not up there. All right, so we have 6 in favor, 1 opposed.
And Commissioner Craig, can you just tell us why you had a nay vote?
Because I disagree about the health. So,
She doesn't think it promotes the health and, yeah. Now, once again, all 3 of these, the 2 zoning issues and the special use permit now go to City Council, and they're on the agenda already, Sam?
July 2nd
July 2nd.
is the tentative
So
date.
once again, basically, city council will go through what we just went through. They'll do another public hearing, and they're the ones that make the final decision. So, okay, July 2nd, gotcha. All right. Item number 6, items for individual consideration. 6A, PLPP 2024-0008 waiver. Consider and act upon a request for a waiver in relation to on-site sewer facilities for the preliminary plat for the Schertz Storage Center subdivision, approximately 7 acres of land generally located 2,800 feet east of the IH-35 FM 2252 intersection, also known as Comal County Parcel ID 73256, City of Schertz, Comal County, Texas.
PLPP 2024-0008 waiver, Schertz Storage Center subdivision sewer waiver request. Samuel Haas, Senior Planner. Okay, the subject property here is outlined in green. Get your bearings, this is FM 482 to the north, I-35 down here to the south. The site is 7.8 acres, it's currently undeveloped, and it has 2 zoning districts, Manufacturing Light M1 and General Business District GB. And here is a plat exhibit here, demonstrating the 2 zoning districts. So, UDC 2115-3 requires applicants to connect to an approved public wastewater system. Additionally, the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 90, Article 3, Section 9078, requires commercial properties within 1,500 feet of a suitable sewer facility to connect to that line. The subject property location prevents a suitable connection, which is why a waiver request was submitted. It is currently outside the closest connection sewer shed, and the actual suitable connection points are too far. So the reason we're hearing this is because UDC Section 2133B2H states that when an applicant is requesting a waiver to the requirements in Article 12, the request must be heard by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Here's a little exhibit to demonstrate what we're talking about here. So the closest connection to the Abbey Road existing sewer facility is over 7,500 feet away, according to engineering. 3,000 feet to the north, there will be the Town Creek line at some point in the future. And then within that 1,500 feet requirement, there actually is a connection point over here on Belmont. However, it's in a different sewer shed, and I'll demonstrate that here. So as we may or may not know, sewer facilities operate by gravity and elevation, and you'll see how north of the property, the elevation goes down 780, 770, 760 down here over on FM 2252. And across the street, it actually goes up 820, 830, 840, 850. So if we were to require the applicant to connect to that Belmont point, we would require them to go under I-35 and then up the hill to that point. So that is not a suitable location, thus the request for the waiver. Engineering has reviewed and support the applicant's waiver request, and due to the distance from a suitable connection point, staff does recommend approval of PLPP 2024-0008 waiver. Comments or questions?
All right. Thank you, Sam. Commissioners, comments or questions? Mr. Wallace?
The abutting lots, they're on similar, I'm assuming it's septic.
Yes, they're going to be requesting an on-site sewer facility, which will be permitted through the county of Comal.
Okay, that's it.
And this is typical for this particular part of Schertz. There's a really, wastewater service is pretty limited up there, and so it's not unusual to see these properties in these locations to come in and ask for this waiver. There is a provision in the code that if in the future wastewater becomes available, they'll be required to connect to it. So, Anybody else? All right, this is our action, and we can either approve or deny this waiver request. So if someone would like to make a motion,
I'll make a motion to approve PLPP 2024008.
I'll second.
Mr. Wallace, yes? You? Okay. All right, I have a motion from Commissioner McMaster and a second from Commissioner Wallace to approve PLPP 2024-0008, a waiver. Any further discussion? Yeah, I have to say waiver, right? Yeah. Well, yeah, you'll see on the next one. Anyone? If not, please record your vote. Oh, see? Look, they're waiting for me, okay? Wait a minute. How did mine get in there? I didn't. All right, I'm going to clear it and ask everybody to vote again, okay? Hang on a second here. Why won't it let me clear it? Yeah, no, they're all there. That's why I'm saying I'm not sure what's going on. IT? Do we have a? Well, there we go. Okay, so if you would, once again, please record your vote. The outcome's the same. I see 7 votes, so please publish that. All right, we have 7 ayes, none opposed. That motion passes. Thank you. 6B, PLPP 2024-0008, without the waiver, saying there's, okay. Consider and act upon a request for approval of a preliminary plat for the Schertz Storage Subdivision, Center Subdivision, approximately 7 acres of land, generally located 2,800 feet to the east of IH-35 and FM 2252 intersection, also known as Comal County Parcel ID 73256, City of Schertz, Comal County, Texas.
PLPP 2024-0008, Schertz Storage Center Subdivision Preliminary Plat, Samuel Haas Senior Planner. So again, subject property here is outlined in green, FM 482 to the north, IH-35 down here to the south. Once again, the plat exhibit demonstrates the split zoning here, GB to the abutting the I-35, M1 on FM 42. It is approximately 7.78 acres, split zoning as I've mentioned, and they're preliminary planning 1 lot. And this is just to kind of set the context here, this is the first plat that we're hearing after several months ago we made those UDC revisions giving staff approval authority of plats. Since there was a waiver and it makes the plat discretionary, staff felt it was best practice to also bring the plat before the Planning and Zoning Commission, the appointed body here, and just in the future, any waiver that comes before, we're going to run them pairing with the plat as well. So, the staff has reviewed the preliminary plat. It is generally consistent with the applicable requirements, ordinances, and regulations of the property. It has been reviewed with no objections by fire, engineering, and planning departments. Staff is recommending approval of PLPP 2024-0008.
Okay, thank you. So, you're reading my mind because you answered my question, but could you maybe explain to me a little more of why I can read the discretionary nature of this application, and I'm not sure, what makes it discretionary?
So technically the plat does not meet our city codes, right? It does not meet the requirements of the Article 12 and subdivisions that you are required to connect to a sewer facility, right? So we granted the waiver, that's why we did that first. And then it's still technically discretionary because they don't meet our UDC requirements. So the state law says that if they meet all your requirements, you just have to basically approve them. But because they technically don't, but since we approved the waiver, we're okay with that, then it still has to be decided upon by the Planning and Zoning
Okay.
Commission.
Good. Thank you. Commissioners, anybody? All right, once again.
I got one.
Oh, okay.
What is the fact that it's a split zoning? Does that have any effect on this, on what can be built, or is this proposed storage facility allowed in both?
Yeah, so
Without me looking it up.
So it's going to be one lot. There are dimensional design requirements for each zoning district, right?
Yep.
You can do certain things in M1, you can do certain things in GB, and technically they could, and there's permitted uses difference in those districts as well. Now basically everything that's in GB, they can do all the GB stuff, and everything that's in M1, they can do all the M1 stuff. So it will affect how they lay out everything. So if they're trying to do, and people can name subdivisions whatever they want, so don't let that, deceive you on what they were trying to do with the property. But, essentially whatever's permitted in M1, they wouldn't be able to, that's not permitted in GB, they couldn't do along the I-35 frontage. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, basically, so all we're looking at tonight is the plat.
Right.
And the follow-on to that then is for them to come into the city and say, here's what we want to build. And that's when the various requirements of GB versus M1, that's what you're saying.
Right.
At that time, you'll tell them what they can and can't do.
Correct.
Does that help, Richard? Yeah. Anybody else? All right. This is an action item for us. We can approve or deny. If I could have a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve PLPP 2024-0008.
Second.
And a second from Ms. Goldick. Okay. We have a motion and a second to recommend approval of PLPP 2024-0008. Any further discussion, comments, questions? Please record your vote. All right, I have 7 votes. If you'd publish that, please. There we go. We have 7 aye, none opposed. That motion passes. Item 7, requests and announcements. 7A, request by commissioners to place items on a future planning and zoning agenda. Anybody have anything? 7B, announcements by commissioners, city and community events, anything like that? All right. 7C, city staff, anything? Okay.
So I have a couple of site plans, and just as a reminder, no questions, just presenting the site plans. If you have questions, come see me afterward. So the first one is for Schertz Station Lot 5. It's on the intersection of I-35 and Cibolo Valley Drive. So you'll see all 4 site plans that I'm showing are all within that Schertz Station site plan, Schertz Station PDD. And then you'll see kind of here, you'll see all 4 site plans at this point. So this is the first one. It's a 12,000 square foot retail and fast food. Lot 6 is a 12,000 square foot retail and fast food. Lot 7 is 2 separate buildings, which will be a total of 16,400 square feet, retail, restaurant, fast food. That's kind of the mix. And you can see this is the true hard corner of 35 and Cibolo Valley Drive. And then Lot 8 is an 8,000 square foot retail and fast food that would front Cibolo Valley Drive. So those are those 4 site plans. And then I have one other announcement. You may have noticed a new face amongst our group. If you want to come here. So wanted to introduce the commission to our newest planner, Maddie Cole. She joined us on May 20th, so she's been here a couple of weeks. She comes to us from Texas State with a degree in geography, urban planning. I know, right? Eat them up. Anything you want to say?
Thank you for having me, and I'm excited to work with y'all this coming year and the next year's coming up.
All right. Welcome. Yeah, we'll see if she's still smiling 6 months from now, right? All right, it is 7:19, and this meeting is adjourned.